and Belk.
Mike Patrick and Dan Bonner with you from Durham, North Carolina, Cameron Indoor Stadium. Let's take a look at the starting lineups for both clubs for this afternoon's ball game, and you'll see a lot of talent out there. Lenny Bias for Maryland, who has really emerged as a scorer, along with Herman Veal up front. The man in the middle is Ben Coleman, the transfer from Minnesota 2 years ago. Here are the guards, Jeff Adkins, and the scorer, Adrian Branch. For Duke, Mark Allery, who has been on a tear in his last 6 ball games. Dan Mahar, Jay Billis, Johnny Dawkins, and Tommy Amaker, one of the best backcourts in the ACC. And we'll be back for the start of this afternoon's game from Durham, North Carolina, right after this word from Budweiser.
In Olympic bobsledding, our lives depend on our equipment. She's got to hold together under more G-forces than a space shot. The whole team pitches in, because coming down the run, the sled's all we've got.
The Olympics take teamwork, and Budweiser is proud to be part of that team. This Bud's for you.
Carolina cities, Carolina towns, banks in every neighborhood, banks all around. So if we want to be your only bank, we better be a whole lot better than good. In CNB, we want to be the best bank in the neighborhood.
Sold out Cameron Indoor Stadium. It is Duke 14-1. Their best start since 65-66 against 10-2 Maryland. And here are the men who will control the action today: Tom Frame, Terry Stout, and John Clougherty. Dan Bonner, they love their basketball here at Cameron, don't they?
Certainly, this is one of the most raucous crowds that there is in the ACC. Duke leads the series, as you can see, 60-44. Last season, the team split. Neither team won the ball game at home. Maryland winning down here.
It will be Jay Billis, number 21, who is the 6'8 sophomore center. Jumping center against 6'9 senior center Ben Coleman. Maryland dressed in black with a gold trim. Duke in white with a familiar blue trim. And the Blue Devils take the opening tip. This is Tommy Amaker, the young freshman out of Falls Church. Played for Woodson High School in Fairfax, Virginia.
Interestingly enough, Mike, Maryland opens in a man-to-man, and Adrian Branch is guarding the point guard, Amaker, for Duke, with Atkins matched up against Dawkins, who walked on that play.
Interesting matchup because Amaker at 6 feet and Branch at 6'7". Of course, Amaker's got to have a little bit of advantage in quickness there.
He certainly does, but I think Johnny Dawkins has the same quickness advantage over Adrian Branch, and he's much more of a scoring threat than Tommy Amaker. Duke opens as well in a man-to-man.
Coleman at the high post, guarded by Billis. Did not get the ball to Branch, who was free. Now Adrian with the basketball. That's Jeff Adkins. Look out for number 34, Lenny Bias, the Maryland forward, who had such a great game against North Carolina. But that is Coleman. Nice little reverse there for Ben Coleman for his first 2.
Maryland had cleared out the offensive area in the color around the basket, and Duke didn't have anybody on the help side.
This is Mark Allery. Missed his first shot. In the last 6 games, he's been shooting almost 74% from the floor. He has really been on a tear. Opening minutes of the ball game, Maryland by 2. Here's a foul in the backcourt. It'll be called against Amaker, who got in too tight on Jeff Adkins. First foul of the ball game. There is Lefty Brazell, who lost a tough one at home the other night to North Carolina, even though his club really gave the Tar Heels a battle. And there is Mike Krzyzewski, a young coach who has done such a fine job at turning around this Duke program. Pass tipped out of bounds. Mahar says he didn't touch it. The official says he did. And the ball will go to Maryland.
Right at the end of the play, you saw Herman Veal point at Adrian Branch and tell him if they're going to overplay, he's going to go back door. That was Veal's idea, but Branch didn't see it that way.
Branch guarded by Johnny Dawkins. Then Coleman with Billis on him. Both teams like man-to-man defense. Adkins low, turnaround jumper by Jeff Adkins, a very underrated player who's an excellent shooter.
He certainly is, and he's got a couple of inches inside on Tommy Amaker. Duke may have the advantage in quickness at the guard position, but Maryland is certainly bigger, and we probably will see the Terrapins doing that, the inside business tonight.
Dawkins short on his jumper. The foul's going to go against Dan Mahar. Crowd didn't like it, but it was an obvious call for the official to make. Number 1 on Mahar's second team foul against the Blue Devils.
See Mike Krzyzewski and his coaching staff standing up, shouting instructions to the Blue Devils. I think they want Duke to be a little bit more patient. Throw a couple of passes, move the defense around a little bit more before they shoot the ball.
They have taken nothing but outside shots so far. This is Herman Beal. Coleman, double team, and it's Mahar. Picks up his second personal. 2 on Dan Mahar in the first 2 minutes and 5 seconds. And Dan, the importance of this is that Duke is not that deep that they can afford to get those starters in trouble.
That's right, Mike, and Mahar has played well for Duke this season. He's one of the main reasons why they've started so quickly. They can ill afford to lose him, particularly in a game against a powerful
Branch backing in, offensive foul, Adrian Branch. First team foul against the Terrapins. We're still at 4-0.
Dawkins' quickness worked to advantage against Branch's size that time, but again, we see Maryland trying to post up their guards inside against the Duke guard.
Dawkins. This is Allery. Missed his first shot. Ball tipped away, but Amaker with those quick hands gets it back. Billis guarded by Coleman. Works on him at the baseline, and Jay Billis has his first 2. The sophomore from Rolling Hills, California, gets the Blue Devils on the board. Adkins at 6'5", being guarded by Amaker at 6 feet. This is Beal. You see his right hand heavily taped. He has a bad wrist. Len Bias picking up where he left off against Carolina.
He has really come on for the Maryland Terrapins this year. He's emerged as such an offensive threat that he's actually attempted more shots than Adrian Branch.
Amaker beat Branch, but Allery did not see the pass coming. There's Henderson into the ball game. David, the 6'5" sophomore from Drury, North Carolina.
Duke, we mentioned at the top of the show that Duke has a very young team. They may be a little tight. They haven't been very efficient in their offense.
Adkins really got away from Amaker, goes into the lane, missed the shot, and Amaker with a rebound. Adkins made the nice offensive move, but couldn't get the ball to fall for him. Dawkins. And the crowd loves Johnny Dawkins.
The great quickness of Johnny Dawkins. He had a side cleared over there, and he blew by Jeff Adkins like Adkins had his feet glued to the floor.
The leading scorer in the best conference in basketball, averaging 21.2 points a game. Coleman, what a move by Ben Coleman.
Great pick by Herman Beal. He got Jay Billis and picked him right off.
4 points for Coleman.
Maryland continues to go inside. You can see Beal setting the screen. Allery didn't get out to help, and Coleman was open. Now Coleman will get a foul down on the other end.
Billis clobbered by Coleman. That's number 1 on Big Ben. And Billis will go to the free throw line. 66% shooter there. Although he has been much better in his last few ball games. He's off to a terrible start, but now has his average back up to what he had last year and going higher.
It's good play by Duke to get the ball inside. The Maryland inside people are bigger in terms of being broader, but they're not that much taller, so Duke needs to take the ball and put some pressure on Ben Coleman and Len Bias on defense.
Billis with his 3rd point. It's 8-5 Maryland. Duke down by 3 with 16:15 to go. First half of play from Cameron Indoor Stadium in Durham. They missed that time by Billis and Adrian Branch with the basketball for the Terps. Adkins passed up the open shot to get it low to Branch. Nice touch by Adrian Branch over Jay Billis. Branch in with his first 2, and it's 10-5. Amaker and Dawkins. Great young backcourt for Mike Krzyzewski. Dawkins. Amaker passed up the shot. Low to Billis. Dawkins won't pass it up. Missed 2 outside shots so far. Fight for the rebound, and it's Herman Beal and Jay Billis.
Dawkins missed that shot, Mike, but it was good patience by the Duke Blue Devils. They'll take that shot.
We have a timeout on the court here at Cameron. 15:35 to go first half. Our score, Maryland 10, Duke 5. We'll be back after this.
For Sheriff Duval, who's car lacked the pickup to make the pickup, there's Gulf Super Unleaded, the gas with guts. For absent-minded Professor Doyle, who never remembered to check her oil, Gulf's full-service dealers check it for her. For Morton Mitchell, who demands the right gas, but at the right price, Gulf self-service makes more sense for less sense.
Gulf, everything we do makes driving better for you.
Today, the most exciting new ideas in the hotel business come from Holiday Inn.
Now Holiday Inn is a better place to be.
It works much better.
It tastes much better.
Better and better.
Really better.
Holodex 2, the industry's first bimodal reservation system, ensures your room is waiting. Innovations like this make Holiday Inn hotels number one.
We're number one, your worldwide host. Works with what you want the most.
Call 800-HOLIDAY.
Holiday Inn is a better place to be.
Hi, Mr. Johnson. Little one-on-one?
Nah, I can't, Jimmy. Your father wants to talk about a pension plan for his company.
What's the matter? You over the hill?
What sets the Jefferson Standard agent apart from other insurance agents is not just that he sells a wide range of innovative business insurance, or that he's specially trained to give comprehensive insurance advice. It's that little extra he gives to his clients. Jefferson Standard. We give a little extra.
You come here to talk insurance or play basketball?
Both.
Selected by Raycom Sports, Jefferson Pilot Teleproductions. Any rebroadcast, retransmission, duplication, or reception of this telecast without the express written permission of Raycom Sports, Jefferson Pilot Teleproductions is prohibited. 10-5, Maryland over Duke, 15:35 to go first half. Mark Fothergill has checked into the ball game for the University of Maryland. He is number 22. He is a forward. And that is Lenny Bias, who has developed some great offensive moves, but he couldn't get that shot to fall. Amaker lost it, but Billis picks it up for him.
Real tough shot by Bias. Duke came over and gave good help on defense. Bias was off balance.
Gallery to Henderson. Krzyzewski refers to him as his sixth starter, not his sixth man. He's been bothered by a leg muscle pull, was listed as probable for today's game. And Dan Bonner, I think you're right. Duke does look a little tight here at the start of the ball game.
They almost threw that ball away, and that would have been three that they just threw out of bounds. But Amaker was able to recover it.
Maryland doing a good job with its man-to-man defense. Henderson misses the shot, loose ball. Adkins. Pass ahead to Coleman. When he's in that close, you can forget it.
Good catch by Ben Coleman. He had three Duke players around him, but he got very strong inside and went right up.
And Ben Coleman, who must have been disappointed in his play against North Carolina the other night in College Park, already has 6 points for Maryland, and the Terps lead by 7 at 12-5. Mallory cut off. Dawkins. Soft touch, but it just kicked off the glass.
We're looking at some very good man-to-man defense by Maryland to this point. Both Allery and Dawkins that time were able to penetrate by their men on the perimeter, but Maryland came and gave excellent help and made them tough shots.
Adkins. This is Mark Fothergill, senior from Somerset, Kentucky. Adkins. Just a superb outside shooter. Not a flashy player, but he does all the things you'd want him to do. And it's 14-5.
And everything's working for Maryland. When they go inside, they're able to get easy shots. When Duke cuts off the inside, Maryland has scored on the jumpers.
Dawkins, great move at the baseline. That time, Johnny Dawkins got loose, and he has 4 of Duke's 7 points. A little pressure in the backcourt, beaten easily by Maryland. Fothergill guarded by Allery. Fothergill doesn't shoot much, but he's capable of it just like that. Made the bucket. The basket will count. Let's see who gets the foul. I think it's going to be an offensive foul.
Foul's going to be against Fothergill. He penetrates past Allery on the perimeter, drives into the lane. Henderson in good position before Fothergill left his feet to go up for the shot. Good call.
But the basket does count, the first 2 for Fothergill, and it is 16-7. Maryland off to a very rapid start, and now here's some full-court man-to-man pressure by the Terps. Try to trap Dawkins, but he gets it to Amaker, and Duke beats the press easily. Henderson. Nice pass from Allery.
Good recognition by Duke to beat the press.
Smart play there by Jeff Adkins. Had a chance at the break, but Duke got back in a hurry, and he pulled up and waited for help. 16-9. Adkins, who likes to penetrate. Jeff Adkins already has half a dozen, and it's 18-9. And this quick start has done one thing. It's helped quiet down the crowd. Mahar blocked by Fothergill, and the foul on Mark Fothergill. That will be his second.
See Mark Fothergill there with a smile on his face. Mahar makes a nice quick move out on the wing. Penetrates to the basket. Fothergill a little slow getting back after that pass, giving him the lane to the basket. You could see an obvious foul.
Dan Mahar out of St. Catharines, Ontario, starred for Canada's gold medal team in the World University game. Really improved his basketball. You see only shooting 57% from the free throw line, but he's a better shooter than that. Hits the first, 18-10. First point of the afternoon for Dan Mahar, who averages almost 9 a ball game.
He's matched up defensively against Ben Coleman now as Billis is out of the game. That's a matchup between a couple of tough guys.
Mahar, who's working with 2 personal fouls, hits them both, and it's 18-11. Adkins, as Duke tries to trap, and Maryland getting people free, but this time they'll kick it out of bounds.
That was the first time that Duke's attempt by the guards to go and double team the Maryland guards really worked. The ball slipped off Atkins' hand and bounced off his foot, out of bounds.
Now here's an interesting move by Mike Krzyzewski. He's putting in Martin Nestle. He's number 51 right there, a freshman, 7'2", 255 out of Whitehall, Ohio. He is a very physical player, played well in the last 2 ball games. He's had a chance to play. And you also see Keith Gatlin into the ball game, a cat-quick freshman point guard. But keep your eye on Nestle, who is a horse inside. One of the few people around him might be able to move Ben Coleman. Mahar. Nice rebound by Fothergill.
By Fothergill. He took it right away from Nestle, who's a few inches taller. Good strength.
And Nestle is only going to play in games where it's not racehorse basketball. Lenny Bias is short. Outlet pass to Dawkins. 3-on-3, and Dawkins will shoot it. Got his own rebound. Missed again. Mahar. Coleman comes out with it to Gatlin. One of the best young passers I've ever seen. He got it to Bias for the jam, and the blocking foul is going to be called against Dan Mahar, and that is going to be his 3rd personal foul.
Mike Krzyzewski's disgusted. He has reason to be. His Blue Devils had 3 very good shots at the basket, missed them all. And then as Maryland comes down running, you get a look at it here. Bias very strong to the basket. Runs into Mahar. Unfortunately for the Blue Devils, Mahar gets called for the foul.
Looked like he had pretty good position there, but it wasn't the best of angles on the replay for it. 4 points for Len Bias, who has his average up to 13.5 a ball game. Becoming a star in the ACC. Timeout here in Durham, North Carolina. 11:45 left in the first half. It's Maryland 21, Duke 11. Stay with us.
Piedmont Airlines Take the Family fares are back, and all you have to do is buy a full fare adult ticket. When you do, your spouse can go along for as little as $49 each way, and so can your kids ages 2 through 17. Just $49 each to most Piedmont cities, $69 to Florida or Texas, $79 to Colorado. There are almost no restrictions, but you must complete your travel by March 31st, 1984. So call today and let Piedmont save your family some seats.
On a wonderful day like today, I defy any cloud to appear in the sky, dare any raindrop to drop in my eye. On a wonderful day like today.
Subaru presents the only full line of on-demand four-wheel drive vehicles in America. So now, every day can be
a wonderful day like today.
See the yellow pages for your local area Subaru dealer.
This exclusive ACC coverage is a presentation of Raycom Sports and Jefferson Pilot Teleproductions.
You're watching Maryland and Duke, and the Terrapins leading the Blue Devils 21-11 with 11:45 to go in the first half here at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Coming up on the 15th, tomorrow at 2 o'clock, North Carolina State against Georgia Tech And you have to find one great game after another in this league. There's more balance than I have ever seen in the Atlantic Coast Conference. 11:38 on the turning clock from Cameron Indoor Stadium in Durham, North Carolina, and Maryland has dominated early.
Maryland is looks like they're in a sort of a triangle and 2 defense matched up against Dawkins, who gets the foul right there from Adrian Branch.
That is number 2 on Adrian Branch.
It's the first time Maryland has shown that defense. They were in man-to-man every series except the last one when they were actually in a diamond in one. But that time it looked like they were guarding both Henderson and Dawkins.
It's a defense Lefty Drizel really likes and has been effective for him over the years, Dan.
It's a defense that you can't use for an entire game most of the time because the coach can adjust to it. But once or twice during the game, you may get a steal or a bad shot, and that might mean the difference in a close ball game.
Dawkins, a great free throw shooter. You might remember what he did against Maryland last year. Hit 31 points in one game, 28 in another. The 31 was a Duke freshman record. Jeff Adkins coming back in the ballgame. Branch with 2 personals will sit down. Remember that Dan Mahar picked up 3 quick ones for the Blue Devils, and Mike Krzyzewski had to take him out of the ballgame. Dawkins has not had a good shooting first half. He is only 2 out of 7. Adkins with Dawkins on it.
He's had good shots, though. The ball just hasn't gone in the basket.
That's right. This is Gatlin, and watch this young man pass. A lot of times they aren't fancy, but they go to the player he should get the ball to. Adkins to Coleman, who started with 3 quick baskets and hasn't been heard from much lately. A lot of contact, no whistle. Branch kept it alive. The rebound goes to Doug McNeely, 6'5" senior from El Paso, but Maryland gets the ball back, and then Coleman is called for a travel.
A little bit of sloppy action there, but it was good action. McNeely had the ball. You get a look at Lefty Drizel. Maryland really battling on the boards. McNeely will grab the ball, then he tries to dribble it in a crowd, and he loses it. Coleman with the possession, but he was ruled that he traveled, and it was a pretty good call. He moved that pivot foot just before he shot.
Jay Billis back in the ballgame for Duke. He and Allery up front along with Martin Nestle, the freshman. And here is another loose ball, and Maryland comes away with it.
Bad pass by Amaker. He threw it and hit Nestle in the ankles.
And the foul is going to be called on McNeely.
McNeely's a little bit disgusted, but what he did was slap down at the basketball. Get a look at the team fouls. Maryland 5, Duke 5, but McNeely slapped down at the basketball and got Bias's arm right in front of the official. You can get away with that if the official's not standing next to you, but unfortunately for McNeely, the ref was right there.
Duke working out of a 2-3 zone right now. This is Gatlin. Swish. Keith Gatlin with his first 2 points. Player of the year in North Carolina a year ago. And it's 23-13. Amaker goes backdoor to Dawkins on the nice fake and a pretty pass. Shot won't go for him, but it's tipped in by Mark Allery.
Shows you the kind of athletic ability that Johnny Dawkins has. He started the backdoor cut, then decided to stop. He was actually going to step away from the basket, but when he saw the ball was going out of bounds, he had the speed to go and get it.
Coleman. Not that time for Ben Coleman. Amaker under control.
Nice job by Amaker. Dawkins was down the court with his hand up looking for the pass, but it would have been a tough one, and Amaker didn't throw it.
Dawkins guarded by Gatlin right now. Great fake by Allery. Bucket won't go. The tip by McNeely. But the foul is going to go against Maryland, and it's Mark Fothergill.
Allery does an excellent job. Bias goes out to attack him. Allery with the pump fake. What a fake. Gets Bias off his feet and frees Allery. Allery's going to miss, but nobody blocks out McNeely. Fothergill is called for the foul with that right arm as he pushed McNeely on the tip.
And Fothergill has to sit down with his 3rd personal. And Herman Beal checks back in for Maryland.
Beal went out of the game awfully early. It's possible that that wrist was really bothering him, but now he has to come back in. Maryland doesn't go much deeper than Fothergill.
Now discussion with the officials.
Okay.
And what they had done is taken McNeely out of the ball game. He was the player that was fouled, and they've got to send him back in to shoot the free throws. Instead, they were trying to send another player up to shoot the free throws. And the referee just told Mike Krzyzewski you can't take him out of the ball game because he's shooting.
Might have been that McNeely and Mike Krzyzewski didn't realize it was a shooting foul.
Terry Long, a 240-pound 6'8 freshman, comes into the ball game for the Terps up front.
Long's played in 9 games. He's averaging about 3 points a ball game for the Terrapins.
McNeely's shot doesn't go. Only a 57% shooter. Sat out the second half of last year for personal reasons, trying to come back. Good defensive player. Missed both free throws. And the rebound goes to Long. He is a load at 6'8", 240.
There's an awful lot of good young players on the court right now. A lot of freshmen and sophomores who are going to be very good players in the ACC before they're done.
Gatlin penetrates, will take the shot, won't go for him this time. What a tip by Herman Veal.
Good tip by Herman Veal to make that shot, to create that shot. Veal actually gave a body block out at the foul line and got away with it. Good screen.
25-15. Long rebound to Gatlin. Tremendous poise for a freshman. Bias. Shot wouldn't go for him, and the rebound to Allery. I am so impressed with Gatlin.
Gatlin really does have a lot of poise and ability. Runs that break very well.
McNeely, nice move to get free at the baseline. Shot wouldn't go, but he's fouled. And they'll call it on Terry Long.
Maryland's defense has been very solid early in the game, except for those instances where they've given up the baseline. You can see Veal runs out too fast against McNeely, who recognizes and penetrates right by.
And Veal is one of the best defensive forwards you will see anywhere in college basketball. When you make Herman Veal make a mistake like that, you've done a job. McNeely, who just missed 2 in a row, gets a little better arc on that one and put it through.
Duke still doesn't look to me, Mike, like they're comfortable in this basketball game, and Maryland's doing what a veteran team should do. They're taking advantage of the early tightness of the young team.
McNeely misses again. So he's flanked 3 or 4 off the iron, and you see the score, Maryland by 9.
Duke now in the zone defense, the 2-3 zone. They're very worried about that inside game.
Cross-court pass, which can be effective against that zone, and this is Lenny Bias. Short this time. Dawkins ahead, tipped away by Adkins. He tried to hit Allery, but Adkins had good position. Not a good pass by Johnny Dawkins.
Bad pass by Johnny Dawkins to get back in the ball game. Duke needs a little bit more patience on offense. They've got to make Maryland work on defense and get some good shots.
Gatlin to Adkins. Maryland has gone cold and allowed Duke to stay in this ball game.
The Duke zone defense has helped. Maryland hasn't been able to get inside against the zone, and they've missed the outside shots they've gotten.
Dawkins trying to work on Gatlin. Gets it in the middle to Billis to McNeely. Oh, nice pass by Allery.
Nice pass by McNeely. Great job by Mark Allery inside, getting good position.
4 points for Allery is 25-18. Crowd starting to get back in it. Ball tipped out of bounds by the Blue Devils, out to the Terrapins. There's a timeout on the court. 7 minutes, 11 seconds to go in the first half of play. Our score, Maryland 25, Duke 18.
Nice move, Brooklyn.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Worthy.
It's James.
Oh, thanks, Jim.
It's James. Now that you made the traveling squad, you better get yourself one of these.
Well, I got a bank card.
Not like this one. I can get cash in over 3,000 machines.
Well, where'd you get it?
Back home, but it works coast to coast.
The Plus system from BB&T and NCNB, America's first coast-to-coast banking.
Well, gee, how do they do it, Mr. Worthy?
Beats me. Must be magic.
Ideas. That's what a team needs to win. In 1968, Food Line had an idea. It became known as the lowest food prices in North Carolina. It meant buying groceries in volume and selling them for less than anyone else. That idea has worked so well, since then we've opened hundreds of Food Line stores and brought low food prices to scores of new communities. That's the idea of Food Line, 6,800 low prices to reduce your food bill. It's made Food Line customers winners.
This exclusive ACC coverage is a presentation of Raycom Sports and Jefferson Pilot Teleproductions.
Upcoming ACC basketball games, Clemson against Maryland. That's Tuesday the 17th at 9 o'clock. The Tigers really have a club this year. And Virginia against North Carolina. That is Wednesday at 9 o'clock. We ask you to check your local listings to see if that game is on in your area. Cameron Indoor Stadium, a little quieter, Dan Bonner, than it was at the start of today's game.
It's a little quieter. You can take a look at the score and see why. Maryland ahead 25-18. They've done a nice job defensively on Duke as the field goal percentage stat you can see right there. Maryland's gotten it inside, 55% almost. Duke at 33. Duke has had some tough shot. Maryland has good opportunities.
This is Adrian Branch. Gatlin, the freshman guard, to Adkins. Branch playing a forward now. Gatlin hit one from there earlier, got another one.
Duke is so conscious of the inside game that on each pass that Maryland makes, Duke takes another step back in there, and Gatlin's going to have that shot all afternoon.
Dan, it's interesting so far that Dawkins and Branch, the two players who have helped destroy the other teams in previous games, are not having big games so far today.
They're certainly not, and I think that can be attributed to the kind of help that Maryland is giving their guard.
Nice pass inside to David Henderson, who gets his third and fourth point. And we're back to a 7-point spread at 27-20.
Good patience by Duke. That's the kind of shot they can create if they are patient.
Herman Veal gets his own rebound and kicks it back out to Gatlin. Can he make three in a row from there? He sure can.
Doesn't bother him. This is a big ACC contest in a foreign arena. Nice job.
29-20. Maryland on top of the Blue Devils. Henderson tried to get it low to Billis. Tipped outside by Coleman. Offensive foul on Mark Gallery.
Maryland continues to give good help inside. Allery penetrates into the middle. Past Gatlin. Herman Veal in perfect position.
Veal is so good at that. He gets his feet down so quickly.
Really recognizes what Allery's going to do, and he actually pushed Gatlin out of the way to get there. Nice play by Herman Veal as Duke's back to the man-to-man now.
Adkins had his pass swiped by Billis. Good defense by the sophomore. Dawkins working on Adkins. Dumps it to Henderson. Left-hand shot by David Henderson.
Nice pass by Dawkins. Good play by Henderson. Maryland has made such a high percentage of their shots. Duke hasn't gotten into the transition game at which Dawkins excelled.
What a pass from Gatlin to Branch. Branch with 4, but Gatlin just threw a rifle bullet in there. 31-22. We're back to a 9-point spread. Dawkins, it's going to be blocking called on Jeff Adkins. That will be his first. Very tough to get Dawkins to commit the charge because he is so quick.
Adkins is about a step slower than Dawkins. He's got to play a little bit off of him when Dawkins is that far outside to give himself an extra step or two to get over in position. He got a little too close to Dawkins, a little too far away from the basket.
Dawkins with 6 points goes to the free throw line, 87% shooter. Got it. Only player in the ACC to be in the top 10 in both scoring and assists. Remember, he played the point last year. And Tommy Amaker has taken the pressure of that job off of him. And it's made Johnny Dawkins, if you can believe it, an even better player. 31-24.
And we haven't heard very much from Tommy Amaker today, which might be one of the reasons why Maryland has the 7-point lead and seems to be in control.
Veal, ball was tipped and hit the end line off the hand of David Henderson. You're seeing a great matchup when Gatlin has the ball because he's guarded by Amaker. But Gatlin has a 5-inch height advantage at 6'5".
Also haven't heard too much from Mark Allery on the Duke offense. Maryland has done a very good defensive job so far.
This is Adkins to Coleman. Taken away by Billis.
Great play by Billis. Coleman turned right into him and he just took the ball.
Johnny Dawkins. What a tip by Allery.
Climbed his own teammate David Henderson's back to get up there. That gets the crowd back in the game.
Gatlin has the ball taken away, and here comes Dawkins again against Adkins. What a great block by Jeff Adkins, and he's fouled. Atkins with the defensive play of the game.
Duke has a 3-on-1 fast break, and Atkins just makes a super play. Good defensive play by Henderson, knocks the ball away from Gatlin. Here comes Dawkins. This is what he is best at. Atkins just does not give up. He waits very patiently. Great block by Atkins, and then Dawkins gets the foul reaching in. Dawkins does a lot of juking out at the front, but Atkins just simply doesn't go for it. Great play.
Atkins just waited for the ball, and now Gatlin will come out of the ball game, and Len Bias comes back in for the Terps, and Atkins will go to the free throw line.
And what a potential turnaround we have. If Dawkins had scored, it would have been a 3-point game, but now Atkins is going down with the opportunity to extend the lead.
And he missed it. Atkins has struggled from the free throw line this year, only shooting 55.9. And Duke with a bucket here could cut the lead back to 3.
Duke has done a nice job getting back into the ball game.
Henderson gets it to Billis over Coleman. Atkins with a long rebound. Terps like to push it up the court if they can, but Atkins is pretty well cut off by the defense. Len Bias, who's been quiet early, couldn't get the roll on that one, and here's Amaker. 3-on-2. Amaker will pop it. First 2 points from Tommy Amaker, and it's 31-28.
The Duke kids are really pumped up now. You can see a great deal more intensity on defense.
In their first conference game Saturday against Virginia, they really faced a lot of pressure and came back from it. And you see the disgust on Mike Krzyzewski's face as David Henderson was called for a personal foul. And boy, that didn't look like a lot of contact.
Adrian Branch had penetrated past the perimeter. The Duke guards continued to try double teaming. Branch beat the double team. Henderson jumps out in front. You're going to get a chance to see it here. Henderson jumps out in front. I think the foul was caused because he had to reach all the way over Branch's head. Henderson's not very happy about it, but a good call.
Branch, 76.5% from the free throw line this year. Missed that one.
There's Henderson again. Since he's been in the game, he seems to be in the middle of everything.
The Terps have missed the front ends of 2 straight 1-and-1. A potential 4 points gone awry, and it's 31-28. Maryland by only 3. Henderson on rebound, but Coleman rips that one off the glass.
Nobody was going to get that one from Big Ben.
Well, once he gets it, he's got it. Coleman, double team down low. Nice pass outside to Herman Veal with that strange shooting style that's been so effective for him. 4 points for Veal, and it's 33-28.
Lefty Drizel's up. Called the triangle defense. It looks like we've got a triangle and 2 again. Bias matched up against Dowling.
Henderson this time makes it from long range.
That's one way to take care of that.
That's right. Instant offense. Henderson with 8 points off the bench for Mike Krzyzewski. 33-30. Branch. Veal. Back out to Adkins, who is now playing the point.
Good pressure by Amaker.
Almost got caught with that 5-second count. Veal, nice pass to Adrian Branch. Pretty pass from Herman Veal.
The mark of a veteran basketball team. Very patient in the face of great pressure. Gets the ball inside for an easy shot.
Lefty Drizel, who has always gotten on by the ingenious Duke student body down here. He is a graduate of Duke. Foul call against Maryland as Henderson trying to keep that hot offensive hand going. Went to the baseline. Going to be called on Veal.
Maryland showed us a 1-2-2 zone that time down the court. Henderson, again, does a nice job. Gave Veal a fake. Got right by him. Veal reached as Henderson went by.
First foul on Herman Veal. And Henderson goes to the free throw line where he already has 8 points. Doesn't look like that upper muscle pull in his right leg has bothered him too much. You can see it heavily taped just under the pants of his uniform. Hit that one. 35-31. Duke trying to get back within 3, and that's 9 points for Henderson.
Really a big lift for the Blue Devils that this fella can play today and play as well as he's already done.
Got them both. The Blue Devils coming back. Timeout with 1:48 to go first half. It's Maryland 35,
boxing, soccer, basketball, baseball, football, watch 'em all. With Rose in hand, you'll have a ball. Huh? There's no taste like the Rose. Rose, no taste like the Rose. There's no taste like it. Everybody knows there's no taste like the Rose.
Wild Irish Rose wine.
Be a part of the ACC action this year. Enter the Holly Farms ACC Tournament Sweepstakes and win the grand prize of 4 ACC tournament tickets. Transportation to and from Greensboro. First-class accommodations at the Holiday Inn Four Seasons Complex. Dining at fine restaurants. Personal limousine service. Look for entry forms and details where you buy Holly Farms chicken. Entry deadline is February 19th, 1984.
This exclusive ACC coverage is a presentation of Raycom Sports and Jefferson Pilot Teleproductions.
We have 1:48 left. First half at Cameron Indoor Stadium in Durham, North Carolina, where Duke is trailing Maryland 35-32. Virginia Tech and Louisville now in overtime. They are tied at 70. We'll pass along scores to you as we get them this afternoon. Have one other one for you, a final. North Carolina has beaten Wake Forest 70-62. They keep proving every game that they deserve to be ranked #1. What a machine.
They have got a great basketball team. The question mark with North Carolina before the season was point guard. And I think they've solved that problem.
Kenny Smith answered that one in a hurry. Maryland by 3. This is Adrian Branch. Started man-to-man by Dawkins. Penetrates, going to draw the personal foul. That'll be against Henderson. And bad news for Mike Krzyzewski because that is #3 on instant offense.
And that was a good call. Branch is penetrating by. You can see Henderson. He is not facing the dribbler. He sort of has his body turned, and Branch has his body turned. Just had a good attempt to get over to help out, but he didn't get there in time.
And they say that's only #2 on Henderson. Officially, we had him down for 3. He is 0 for 1. Free throw line is Adrian Branch. Now he's 0 for 2. What a rebound by Herman Veal. And he is fouled, and it will go against Tommy Amaker.
Coaches never like to have an offensive rebound off a free throw, but that really wasn't the Duke Blue Devils' fault. That ball bounced so hard off the back of the rim that Herman Veal was actually in perfect position to get it.
Often said, if you're going to miss a free throw, you might as well miss it badly. That way you have a chance to get the ball back. 4 points for Herman Veal. Averages 8.8 a ball game. You see that right wrist heavily taped. Got the first one. 5 points for Veal.
Big free throw for Herman Veal. Maryland has sort of allowed, Duke has played better, but Maryland has allowed Duke back in the ball game by missing at least 3 front ends of the 1-and-1 in the last couple of minutes.
Dan, they've missed 3 of those straight. That's a potential 6 points that they don't have, but Herman Veal makes both. Veal in with half a dozen, and Maryland leads by 5 again at 37-32. Amaker and Dawkins are the backcourt.
Maryland now showing that 1-2-2 zone again.
Henderson already with 8. Make it 10.
Good ball movement by Duke. They moved the Maryland zone to one side of the court, then quickly reversed it. Henderson had a wide open jumper.
My mistake. I can't keep up with Henderson. He now has 12. And Herman Veal set a bone-crunching pick that Amaker ran into. What a foul will be on Amaker.
What a pick. A defensive guard just doesn't expect a screen in this part of the floor, but boom, what a collision. And Herman Veal is a big man.
Veal 6'6", 200. It's all solid, and that will clear your sinus for the afternoon. And on Amaker, that is #3. So Dan Mahar, who's already been on the bench with 3 personal fouls, now Amaker has to sit down, and Doug McNeely comes back into the ballgame.
Don't try to tell me that Mike Krzyzewski isn't into this ballgame. He spends the last 30 seconds standing practically out at the foul line.
Herman Veal, who is 2 for 2 at the line and 6 points, goes back to the stripe again. 1:12 left in the half. Nice touch by Herman Veal. Senior from Jackson, Mississippi. He's the best defensive player on the team and great at taking charges.
Mark Allery is complaining to the official. Big Ben Coleman almost pushed him into the cheerleaders on that particular play.
Veal again trying to make it 4 straight from the line. And Herman Veal is in with 8 points, and Maryland leads again by 5 at 39-34. 3 players, as you see, already with 3 personal fouls. Fothergill got his in a hurry, as did Mahar. 1 minute even on a turning clock from Cameron Indoor Stadium in Durham. Henderson, who already has a dozen, now has 14.
How does a guy make a shot like that? He was falling down away from the basket, and he still made it.
Henderson certainly has his confidence, and 14 of Duke's 36 points.
Duke with a very small lineup in the game. Maryland should try to punch the ball inside.
Len Bias, who had not had much of a first half, buries that one, and Lenny Bias has 7 points, 41-36, and 30 seconds left.
He's really a good jump shooter from that 15-foot range. He comes to the ball very strong, gets good and square to the basket, and pops it home.
And now Duke appears to be ready to play for the last shot at the first half.
Which they can do. There's about 15 seconds left on the game clock, and there's 24 seconds left on the 45-second clock.
9 seconds. Down to 6 as they start their offense. 4 left, and a shot they didn't want, really, from Allery. Maryland did a good defensive job as Duke played for the last shot of the first half, and were not able to get the good shot. Dan, what do you think the keys were in the first half with Maryland leading at 41-36?
I think one of the big keys to the basketball game is that the Duke guards have been basically uninvolved in the game offensively. Johnny Dawkins is only 2 for 10. He's had great performances for Duke all year. He has not produced today. He's had some good opportunities and missed them. The other key has been super defensive effort by the Maryland Terrapins. They've forced Duke to take tough shots outside, and in turn they've been coming down on offense, and at least early in the game they were punching the ball inside, scoring easy baskets.
Mark Allery has not had the big first half, and I think Mike Krzyzewski has to be very grateful for David Henderson coming off the bench.
Mike Krzyzewski also has to be very comfortable if you can be that when you're behind at halftime. He's only behind 5 points. He hasn't had a good effort from Dawkins. He hasn't had a good game from Allery.
It's 41-36. We'll be back with more of our halftime from Durham after this.
This Bud's for everyone who takes the power and sends it down the line.
This Bud's for you. For all you do, the king of beers is coming through.
Yeah, just for you. That distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
For all you do, this Bud's for you.
In the Carolinas, a familiar scene at sunrise is the arrival of the Boss bread truck. And here in historic Old Fort, once the state's most westward outpost, a familiar scene at breakfast is Bossed Old Hearth, the old-timey bread. And when sandwiches are served at Old Fort, you can bet the bread is Boss thin sliced sandwich bread. Yes, here in McDowell County's Old Fort, as with other towns and communities throughout the Carolinas, you can count on 2 things arriving fresh every morning: the sun and premium quality Bossed bread.
If you're like most people, about 3 out of every $10 you make winds up here. But now there's a working man's loophole, the NCNB IRA. Put aside up to $2,000 a year for retirement, take a $2,000 deduction. A working couple can take off up to $4,000. So you cut down your tax bite while you build up your retirement fund, the NCNB IRA. It helps keep some of your hard-earned dollars back in your neighborhood.
The Atlantic Coast Conference has become known as the Conference of Champions throughout the United States. Champions because the coaches and players in the ACC have set a standard of excellence in collegiate sports. At Food Lion, we like to think we set a standard of excellence in the supermarket business with our quality products, with our 6,800 low prices, and with the people who serve you. Why not visit one of the hundreds of Food Lion stores soon and meet some of our champions?
Mike Patrick and Dan Bonner with you. We're at halftime at Duke, where Maryland leads the Blue Devils 41-36. It's been a good ball game. Right now, we want to give you a chance to take a look at a couple of other great games. It was billed as the game of the year so far in the young 83-84 season, and indeed it was, until Carolina pulled away for a 12-point win over Maryland. That victory came in spite of a brilliant performance from number 34, Maryland sophomore forward Lenny Bias. but it was Carolina making the clutch plays inside all night long. Matt Doherty to Brad Doherty, scoring inside the Maryland defense, where they dominated a very strong Terrapin team. One of the few times Ben Coleman, the senior center, was able to get loose inside Carolina's defense. After the steal, Adkins with the brilliant pass to Adrian Branch for the jam. But most of the fireworks, especially late, came from North Carolina, and Sam Perkins, playing with the intensity he showed as a sophomore, had a wonderful ball game. Watch Perkins, right side of your screen, on another jam on the fast break as he beat Coleman to the hoop. Then a big play as Jordan misses, but Perkins there as he was all night long for the follow shot. Then later, with the game still hanging in the balance, Michael Jordan missing a shot, but watch the follow. He comes down and bounces right back up in the middle of two Maryland defenders to score. And Lefty Driesell at that point knew it was over. And Michael Jordan, with the dunk of the year, finished it off, 74-62 Carolina. Then last night, Kentucky, second ranked in the country, bombed by 19 by the Auburn Tigers. Sam Bowie, with all those injury problems, coming back and playing well. But it mattered little to the Auburn Tigers with their harassing defense. Steal after steal. And that's Charles Persons with the jam dunk. Watch the quick hands of the Tigers defense. Another steal, and the pass to Persons ahead of the pack for another jam. The Tigers did it all last night, running away from second-ranked Kentucky. This is Charles Barkley in the middle with the score and the foul. Then Barkley with a nice pass to Persons for another shot inside for two. And Auburn did it all last night. Defense, fast breaks, and jams for an 82-63 win. Maryland leading Duke 41-36 here at the half. Fifth-ranked Maryland. Duke trying to get into the top 20, and we'll be back with more of our halftime right after this.
I just got a sporty truck priced like some base trucks. The Mazda B2000 SE5. Look, it comes standard with a 5-speed overdrive, steel-belted radials and spoker wheels, sporty stripes, a step bumper, even dual sport mirrors. Pretty sporty for just $59.95.
Sakes alive, sakes alive. Only Mazda's got a sporty truck for just $59.95.
This man is about to have major surgery, and he doesn't need it. If this happens just once, it's once too often. At Pilot Life, we believe unnecessary surgery should never happen, which is why we developed group medical insurance policies which allow you to get a second medical opinion, in the hope that something like this will never happen to you. At Pilot Life, we never forget that behind every policy is a person.
There's a homemade biscuit at Hardee's they call the Rise and Shine.
We love just thinking about them driving over here made me hungry.
They're made from scratch, every batch, every morning time.
We took a vote at the plant. Hardee's biscuits, #1.
You can look for as good a biscuit all up and down the line.
You're asking us? Nothing even comes close.
But the best and freshest biscuit
I had the impression that Hardee's started it all and everybody else copied it.
is at Hardee's Rise and Shine.
Winning. An uncompromising dedication to excellence, quality, and value. Being the best at whatever you are. Being a winner. Simply because there's nothing else to be. Members Only takes first place at Belk. Lightweight chintz jackets that speak of European design in styles for men and boys. And a choice of colors rich enough to suit everyone. Winners. Members Only and Belk.
It's sold out here at Cameron Indoor Stadium in Durham, North Carolina, but the home folks have not gotten exactly what they were hoping for in the first half because Maryland has a 41-36 lead over the Blue Devils. Stay tuned as halftime continues after this word from your local ACC station.
Dancers are preparing for the local flash dance contest during the United Cerebral Palsy Telethon. Watch and vote for your favorite performer tonight at 1 on WRAL TV5.
I'm Eddie Knox. During the next few months, you'll be hearing a lot of boasting and a lot of empty promises from politicians. But I know from years of experience as a mayor and as a state senator that the proof in the pudding comes only with one's performance. My success comes from involving hundreds of people like you in government. We can't afford the old political hacks. North Carolina needs fresh ideas and fresh faces. Don't you think it's time we elect someone who gets the job done rather than just making promises?
Carolina Pride, basketball, and Pepsi-Cola.
Taste the pride.
Here's why the drink that was born here is our favorite.
Pepsi has a down-home Carolina taste.
When I drink Pepsi, it just hits you. It's like, boom, it's got you.
Pepsi was born in the Carolinas, and they're going to make sure it's the best.
Taste the pride of the Carolinas.
Pepsi's the pride of the Carolinas.
Pepsi is the pride.
Sanford and Son, Monday at 5.
At the conclusion of our ball game today here in Durham, we'll be selecting an outstanding player from each team as the Holly Farms Player of the Game. Holly Farms will contribute $1,000 to the Atlantic Coast Conference to be distributed to the institutions under a conference-approved plan in the name of these two players. And at the end of the season, each player winning the Player of the Game award will receive a plaque from Holly Farms recognizing that honor. The Blue Devil Pep Band. And it's always fun to come down here, Dan, because the students may be the most inventive anywhere in the country, and they really get on the other team.
They certainly do some things that make basketball down here entertaining. They were chanting at Ben Coleman earlier in the game when he came out to warm up, and it was interesting.
And he was laughing, too. I think the other players enjoy it, at least to a point. Let's take a look at some other scores today. Boston College knocks off St. John 69-67. What a job Gary Williams has done since he's been the coach at Boston College. Marquette over South Carolina. A little surprised at that because South Carolina has a good ball club this year. The final was 74-69 Marquette. There's the final we told you about earlier. Number 1 ranked North Carolina beating Wake Forest 70-62. Carolina off to a great start. 3 tough road wins in the Atlantic Coast Conference to start their season. They are indeed the number 1 team in the country. Purdue, tough club this year, knocks off Bobby Knight in Indiana this afternoon, 74-66. Indiana will struggle a lot, but they'll be ready by the end of the season. Bobby Knight always has them that way. DePaul, big win over Alabama Birmingham, 98-62, a 36-point spread from Ray Meyer's club. Virginia Tech losing to Louisville 76-72. That was in overtime. Louisville and Denny Crum a winner over Virginia Tech this afternoon. Halftime score, Alabama leading Georgia. Southeastern Conference battle 31-26. And we have a 41-36 score here in Durham. What do you think Duke has to do to get back in the ballgame, Dan?
Duke has to be able to get Mark Allery and Johnny Dawkins a little bit more involved in the offense. And I think to do that, they have to try to do a better job blocking out inside, playing better defense, making it tougher for Maryland so they can get their transition game going.
Well, it's 41-36, and we'll be back with the start of the second half of today's game right after this.
Budweiser salutes the coaches and trainers of the 1984 U.S. Olympic team.
And a good follow-through. Clean, Judy. Fight it hard. Don't let me catch you. Don't let me catch you.
A couple runs, bring it back. Run it off. That should give you a little bit quicker time through the gate.
That's so good, Gary. We'll get him tomorrow. Good extension. Head up.
To the U.S. Olympic coaches and trainers, the team behind the team, this Bud's for you.
Time doesn't fly when you're waiting, especially when you're waiting to fly. If you're a frequent business traveler, you can spend over 100 hours a year waiting in airports. That's over 2 working weeks waiting, not working. But Piedmont doesn't waste your time. We fly nonstop to a lot of cities where other airlines don't. And we make connections in smaller, less crowded airports. Less waiting, less wasted motion. Piedmont. Why waste time with somebody else?
For Sheriff Duval, whose car lacked the pickup to make the pickup, there's Gulf Super Unleaded, the gas with guts. For Morton Mitchell, who demands the right gas, but at the right price, Gulf Self-Service makes more sense for less sense. For the Millers, whose car ran on and on, Gulf's Extra Octane helps stop engine run-on.
Gulf, everything we do makes driving better for you.
This live coverage is brought to you by Piedmont Airlines, by Budweiser, by the Jefferson Pilot Corporation, by Mazda, by Holiday Inn, by Belk and Leggett Stores, and by NCNB. This exclusive ACC coverage is a presentation of Raycom Sports and Jefferson Pilot Teleproductions.
Almost set to go for the second half here in Durham, where Duke is leading, or Maryland is leading Duke 41-36. Both teams back out on the court, warming up for the second half. I want to show you a very critical play from this afternoon's North Carolina-Wake Forest game. With Carolina up by 1, Kenny Smith with the lob to Sam Perkins, who had 17 points this afternoon. That put Carolina up by 3. They went on to win 70-62. Now we want to take a look at Hardy's halftime statistics, and I think they're going to be rather revealing from the first half of today's game, simply because the players you would normally expect to be deeply involved in the offense were not. Here are the field goal stats, 62.1 to 41.9. That tells a story in itself, doesn't it, Dan?
Certainly does. Now, Duke actually improved in the latter stages of the first half. They got themselves back into the ball game. Maryland doing an excellent job getting the ball inside, getting good shots, but Maryland hurt themselves at the free throw line.
And Duke had 5 more points with free throws.
Turnovers and rebounds in the foul situation just about even.
3 players working with 3 personal fouls as we start the second half. The only starter in that trouble is Dan Mahar from Duke. And Mahar is back out there to start the second half. And the Blue Devils will have possession on the alternating possession rule.
Maryland opens the second half in the man-to-man defense. They showed us a couple of different zone looks in the first half. It seemed to work for them, but they start again in the man-to-man.
This is Amaker to Dawkins, who had 8 in the first. Mahar, offensive, no. Charge, or rather the blocking foul called against Herman Beal.
Great play by
Mahar took a chance on getting his 4th person.
Mike Krzyzewski was probably holding his breath.
Here's the final on that Louisville-Virginia Tech game in overtime. Louisville winning it by 4, 83-79. Foul on Beal was his second. This is Allery over 2 players. Shot doesn't go, but he'll draw the foul. This time it'll be on Lenny Bias.
Just a great pass by Tommy Amaker. He recognized that Allery was open, made that pass at a tough angle across the court. Nice job.
Allery goes to the free throw line.
We said during halftime that Duke should try to look to get the ball to Mark Allery, get him more involved in the offense, and they certainly went to him immediately here to start the second half.
Only had 6 in the first half. Averages 14.5 points a game. Second leading scorer on the ball club to Johnny Dawkins. Interestingly, the 3rd leading scorer is David Henderson, who comes off the bench, and Henderson had 14 points in the first half today.
He really keyed that Duke comeback in the second 10 minutes of the first half.
41-38. Maryland now by only 3, and Duke continues to hang in there. This is Jeff Atkins with a 5-inch height advantage on the man guarding him, Tommy Amaker. Bias bounced the pass off the foot of Allery out of bounds.
Duke picking up in their man-to-man defense very far outside. Mahar is claiming that he was knocked down.
And we've had a little bit of problem a couple of times with the 45-second shot clock. This last time, it was not running when the players were in action, and it was running when the ball went out of bounds and the game clock stopped.
No, that's only fair.
Sure. But it has not been a factor so far. Blocked by Billis, but Atkins with the loose ball. So good at moving into the lane. He has that little jump step where he sets himself with both feet and then goes up strong.
That's such a fundamentally sound play. When you penetrate into the lane there like that, a good jump stop gets you on balance. Atkins does that very well.
Here's a pass and the interception by Herman Veal. Lost the ball. Saved it. No, he was on the out-of-bounds line. Good effort by Herman Veal, but he couldn't quite save it. And look at the tape on Herman Veal's right hand. That might have contributed to the fact he couldn't control that ball.
What he tried to do, Mike, is he tried to catch the ball on a dribble, and it didn't dribble properly for him. Anytime you're in a situation like that, your first idea should be to grab the ball.
Dawkins drops it off, and here is the foul as Mahar went strong to the hoop.
Well, Ben Coleman was certainly looking to grab the ball, but he grabbed Mahar's arm.
That's number 2 on Coleman, the third team foul against Maryland here in the second half. And Mahar only has 2 points. He'll go to the free throw line.
Duke doing it.
Both free throws.
Duke doing a nice job penetrating past the Maryland perimeter defense so far in the second half, creating some inside opportunities for their big men.
Our margin has varied back and forth. Most of the time it's either been at 5 or 3. Right now it's down to 4 at 43-39. Mahar trying to make it 2 straight, make it 4 straight rather, from the free throw line. Hit every attempt today, and it's 43-40. Adkins and Coleman, who comes way out high and brings Phillips with him. Bad pass by Coleman. And they say it was tipped by Duke.
That's an excellent call. It was tipped out front by Jay Billis. Good Duke defense, though. Maryland's catching the ball way outside of the offensive area.
Branch to Adkins. Right now they're about 25 feet away from the hoop. And Adkins got the nice screen from Field, but a good switch by Mahar to pick him up. Coleman. Oh, what a nice move in midair by Ben Coleman. Took the ball up, brought it down, and took it back up again behind the defender. And Coleman is in with 8. You remember, first couple of minutes of the ball game, he had 6. Dawkins from long range. The rebound goes to Len Bias, but the foul is on Len Bias.
Mark Allery and Jay Billis both had good inside position. Bias sort of got both of them.
Lefty Driesell did not care for the call, letting the officials know his opinion on it.
Again, Johnny Dawkins with a wide open shot. It just doesn't go down for him. He continues to have some problems getting the ball in the basket.
Mahar, nice move to get by Coleman. Shot partially blocked, and he lost it again. Billis. Billis is not a bad perimeter shooter. Because of Duke's team makeup, he's really forced to play in the middle. I think he'd rather be out there on the wing where he made that bucket.
He's actually a strong forward, and he does a nice job out of position for the Blue Devils.
Coleman again, forced that one a little bit, and the rebound goes to Mark Allery. Duke within 3. They could cut it to 1 with a bucket here. Billis. He's fouled by Coleman. That is number 3 on Ben Coleman. So both teams now have 2 players working with 3 personal.
Very impressed with the job that Duke has done when they've been able to get in the transition situation. Their big men, Allery, Mahar, and Billis, run the court very, very well. That time, both Mahar and Billis beat Maryland down the court. Good play.
1 out of 2 from the line so far today for this young man. Make it 2 out of 3 and 6 points for Jay Billis. Averages 10.1. Second leading rebounder on the club. Grabs almost 6 boards a game. The lead is cut to 1 at 45-44, and the crowd is really in this one. Maryland could use a good shot at a hoop right now. Bias. Duke really playing with intensity on that man-to-man defense right now. And Dawkins with the steal.
There's going to be a foul on Johnny Dawkins. That's no basket. We've got a foul called either against, yes, it's against Johnny Dawkins. The foul's against Johnny Dawkins on that steal.
And you may have been the only one in the building who heard that whistle, because the fans didn't and I didn't.
Mark Allery playing defense against Bias, has a nice defensive position. There's the foul. You can see Dawkins with that right arm on Adrian Branch. Good call.
Second foul on Dawkins. Of course, the crowd does not have the benefit of the replay, and they're a little upset about it, as is Johnny Dawkins. Now the officials go over to talk to Lefty Drizel. And Lefty
Drizel wants him to make Mike Krzyzewski go back and sit down.
He said, if he's standing up here by the scorer's table, then I'm coming up and standing by the scorer's table.
Mike Krzyzewski has been up and down the sideline today. He's very involved in the basketball game. Get a look at the team foul stats. Maryland with 5, Duke just 1.
And that could be important because once you reach 7, you're in the bonus situation. Len Bias with a big basket.
Nice move by Len Bias. Once again, he shows us that ability to shoot that 15-foot jump shot.
Lenny Bias with 9, the lead back to 3 at 47-44. Maryland is led from the start. Adkins commits the personal foul as Dawkins goes by him. Number 2 on Adkins.
Johnny Dawkins is going to be real tough for Jeff Adkins when he catches the ball in that foul line area, because Adkins cannot just give him that shot that's well within Dawkins' range, and when Adkins has to come up close to Dawkins, then Dawkins can use his great quickness to get by.
We have 16:38 to go in the ball game. Maryland 1-1 in the conference, Duke 1-0, and Dawkins finally hits from outside.
And that's exactly what we meant. Adkins played a little bit off Dawkins that time, and rather than go by him, Dawkins hits a jumper.
10 points for Johnny Dawkins. The margin is 1. Bias gets it to Adkins to beat the 5-second count.
Good defense.
This is Branch working on Dawkins. Adrian Branch with that height advantage. Dawkins at 6'2", Branch is 6'7", and Branch has 8 points. Maryland once again by 3.
Maryland drops back into the zone in a 1-2-2 or a 3-2 zone.
It was an effective defense for them in the first half, wasn't it?
Sure was. Allery from the outside, though. That's the way to solve it. Lefty shaking his head.
Knocks it down. Lefty saying, hey, that was the right move. Allery still got it. 10 points for Mark. Bias. Oh, what a pretty touch by Lenny Bias. And these last 2 possessions are exactly the way he played against North Carolina the other night. But he played that way for 40 minutes.
Great shot. Billis came to give help.
Amaker. Rebound to Coleman, knocked away by Mahar. Good quick hands, but Coleman got it back.
Good block out by the Maryland Terrapins. There was 4 of them right around the basketball.
Branch, who loves to run one-on-one. Sort of a side saddle shot that time. Beal, big offensive rebound, and a whistle.
I think we're going to get a walk. Yes, that's exactly what the call is.
Shuffled his feet a little bit. It's 51-48. We have a timeout. We'll be back in Durham after this.
This is when you realize the Mazda 626 Sport Coupe doesn't get by on looks alone. This high-performance road car comes with a 2-liter overhead cam engine, advanced front-wheel drive, and patented independent rear suspension. While its value is first apparent when you price it, it's even more apparent when you drive it. The more you look, the more you like.
Mazda Experience. There's a homemade biscuit at Hardee's they call the Rise and Shine.
We love just thinking about them driving over here made me hungry.
They're made from scratch, every batch, every morning time.
We took a vote at the plant. Hardee's biscuits, #1.
You can look for as good a biscuit all up and down the line.
You're asking us? Nothing even comes close.
But the best and freshest biscuit
I had the impression that Hardee's started it all and everybody else copied it.
is at Hardee's Rise and Shine.
Winning. An uncompromising dedication to excellence, quality, and value. Being the best at whatever you are. Being a winner. Simply because there's nothing else to be. Belk presents belted duck cloth slacks from Hager. Tailored in Celanese Fortrel polyester cotton blend for easy care. With a great fit that wins with men everywhere. Unbeatable winners. Hager and Belk.
Remember, stay tuned at the end of today's game, and we'll be picking a Holly Farms player of the game from each school. And we've got a lot of candidates for that. 51-48 Maryland over Duke. There you see the 4 players who have foul trouble. Fothergill, a reserve forward. Coleman, a starter. Mahar and Amaker starters.
It's interesting to note, Mike, the last couple of Maryland possessions, Adrian Branch has started to go one-on-one a bit more. That's something that Maryland can do down at the end of a game. Branch is such a great one-on-one player He's matched up with Dawkins. The last couple times he's taken good shots. Have to see how that works out.
Maryland, a team that had 5 more field goals in the first half, has 2 more field goals than Duke in this half, but Duke is still staying tight because of the free throw situation. Maryland has not shot a free throw this half. Duke is 6 for 6. Loose ball, Mahar lost it, got it back. Allery lost it, rather. Mahar got it back, and they're going to call Adrian Branch for the personal foul. That will be 3 on Branch.
Got a perfect example to see why Maryland is in a position where they're not shooting free throws and Duke is. Duke is putting the ball, as you can see the slap right there, Duke is putting the ball in position where Maryland is forced to foul or give up the basket. Duke's doing a nice job pressuring Maryland with their offense.
Mahar, who is 4 for 4, makes it 5 for 5, and this is a guy shooting 57% from the free throw line.
He's having a big night when they need it.
Nice touch. And you saw Mahar throw up his hands. He's happy. 6 for 6 from the charity stripe. All of his points. And we're down to 1 point again. Maryland leading at 51 to 50. Adkins. Herman Veal doesn't shoot from outside that much. Missed that one. Mahar ahead to Henderson, who's checked in. Duke can take the lead with a bucket here.
Good patience by Henderson. Didn't try to rush anything.
He had 14 points first half, and he got the biggest coup of the ball game there. The first time that Duke has had the lead in the game, and they got it at 52 to 51.
And this crowd's going crazy.
Adkins had to pick up his dribble, look for the 5-second count, tipped out of bounds, and it's out to Duke.
Good defensive pressure by the Duke Blue Devils. Maryland didn't really have any place to go for the ball. Branch tried to come and get it, but the ball went off his hand out of bounds.
And Lefty Driesell uses one of his 3 important timeouts to stop this Duke streak. 14:09 to go. Our score, Duke 52, Maryland 51.
This Bud's for everyone who takes on the heavy loads.
This Bud's for you. For all you do. The king of beers is coming through.
Yeah, just for you, that distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
For all you do, this Bud's for you.
Let's settle in here, all right? I'm guessing that they're hiding right out in this grass. Watch me, partner. It's all in the wrists. Oh, I got bit.
Big.
Get him on in. Let's get a look at that hog. Oh, nice meeting you, big guy.
The Red Man reaction. Satisfaction.
This exclusive ACC coverage is a presentation of Raycom Sports and Jefferson Pilot Teleproductions.
The Blue Devils of Duke, with the first lead of the ball game, are up 52-51, and we have 14 minutes and 9 seconds left to go in this ball game. And Dan Bonner, there are some other games coming up. North Carolina State against Georgia Tech. What a job Bobby Crimmins has done down in Atlanta. That's on Sunday. Clemson against Maryland Tuesday at 9 o'clock, and Virginia against North Carolina on Wednesday. And everybody's shooting at Carolina. And Carolina repelling all the shots. Duke with a 1-point lead and the basketball. Mahar. Big rebound to Herman Veal.
Maryland was back in the man-to-man. That was an awfully tough shot by Mahar. Duke has gotten the lead in the second half by being very patient on offense, and Mahar probably should have kicked that one back out.
This is Coleman. Had the ball knocked away. The steal by Amaker. And Tommy Amaker will go in for the Snowbirds.
Great defense. Duke has really picked up the defensive pressure in the second half. They've created some opportunities like that and cashed in.
Adkins. This is Lenny Bias, who wants that shot and made it. Duke had its biggest lead at 3. Bias cuts it back to 1 at 54-53, and Bias is in with 13 points.
What a game he's playing for Maryland. He's made some big baskets in this second half.
This is Henderson. What a great job he's done to Allery. Got position down low. 12 for Allery.
Duke's doing a nice job getting the ball inside, putting some pressure on Maryland in that area.
Adkins, nice move to get down the lane, lost the ball, but it goes to Branch, who made the shot inside.
Good quick hands by Amaker. He almost had the steal.
Adrian Branch now with a dozen. Make it 10, rather. And the lead is back to 1 at 56-55. The Blue Devils, who trailed from the start, got their first lead at 52-51. And these young guys don't know they're supposed to be the underdog. Henderson, not a good shot that time, off of Dan Mahar out of bounds.
Tough break. Mahar had perfect position inside, but as the ball came down, Ben Coleman got his hand on it and bounced off Mahar's foot out of bounds.
Maryland is normally a dominating rebounding team. They were not against North Carolina. They have not been today against Duke. And a great steal by Henderson. 4 on 2.
What a pass! What a pass! Just a great pass. He looked at Amaker, who was on his right, all the way down the court, and then made the pass to Dawkins on his left. Great play.
58-55. Duke by 3 with 11:51 to go in the game. Mike Patrick and Dan Bonner, hope you've enjoyed it. It's been a great one. That's Field. A lot of contact inside, and the blocking foul is going to be called on Allery, and the Duke crowd comes to its feet.
Duke pressuring far away from the basket. You can see Mahar tries to go for the steal. Allery comes to help, and Allery actually initiated the contact. He stepped into Veal, and that's why the call went away from him.
Look at Henderson.
What a steal by Henderson. That's the earlier play. He makes a nice steal. Now look at him. He looks off Lenny Bias and gets Bias to take one step toward the other side and gets it back to Dawkins. What a play.
Veal with 8 points. 4 have come from the free throw line, and the crowd waving its hand. And Veal quiets them. Herman Veal with 9 points. Only averages 8.8 a ball game. Very steady, solid ball player who is an exceptional defender.
Game in the second half, Mike, has been played at really a racehorse pace, up and down, up and down. These guys are going to have to be in great condition to not get tired before the end.
58-56, Duke by 2. Veal with excellent concentration makes them both, and it's 58-57.
Now Maryland looked like they wanted to show a little full court pressure, but Branch and Coleman and Veal went down the court, and Atkins and Bias couldn't do it by themselves. Looked like a little defensive mix-up by the Terps.
Dawkins. This is Henderson. Allery. Duke did not get good offensive movement or a good shot on that trip.
Allery probably shouldn't have taken that shot. He was very surprised by the pass and sort of threw it up rather than get on balance and get a good shot.
Branch. Good pass to Lenny Bias, who goes right down the lane.
Mike Krzyzewski up. He's asking for a double dribble call. Don't think he's going to get it.
59-58, Maryland regains the lead. Dawkins short with a jump rebound to Atkins.
Long jump shot by Johnny Dawkins. And again, Duke got back into the game, took the lead by being patient and punching it inside. Time with a very long shot.
And it has not been a great outside shooting afternoon for Johnny Dawkins. This is Branch going one-on-one. What a rebound by Veal. And he gets it back outside. Adkins likes to shoot from that area, but a great pass instead to Ben Coleman. Last couple of trips down, at least 2 of the last 3, Maryland has gone inside again.
Get a timeout by the Duke Blue Devils as Maryland has reestablished a little bit of control that they had earlier.
10-14 left to go in the game. It's Maryland 61, Duke 58. Don't go away.
Walking in a winter wonderland. In the meadow we can do a snowman. Later on we'll conspire as we dream by the fire.
Let Piedmont Airlines change all your ideas about winter. Fly with us to Florida.
Walking in a winter wonderland.
Nice move, rookie.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Worthy.
It's James. Oh, thanks, Jim.
It's James. Now that you made the traveling squad, you better get yourself one of these.
Well, I got a bank card.
Not like this one. I can get cash in over 3,000 machines.
Well, where'd you get it?
Back home, but it works coast to coast.
The Plus system from BB&T and NCNB, America's first coast-to-coast banking.
Well, gee, how do they do it, Mr. Worthy?
Beats me. Must be magic.
This exclusive ACC coverage is a presentation of Raycom Sports and Jefferson Pilot Teleproductions.
61-58 Maryland over Duke with 10:14 to go. Remember, stay tuned at the end of our game, and we'll be picking a Holly Farms player of the game from each school. And some great individual performances so far in this ball game. Duke comes in 14-1, 1-0 in the ACC. Maryland 10-2, 1-1 in the conference. And look at the free throw shooting. This is what is keeping Duke in this ball game.
Doing a great job from the free throw line, but again, when they have been playing well, they've been getting the ball inside in a tough position for Maryland to defend, and they've been drawing the fouls. Maryland, on the other hand, at least in the second half, hasn't been punching the ball inside quite as well. They've started to do it the last couple of minutes, and that's why they've regained the lead.
Henderson did not get the roll and feel with another board.
Good shot, tough break for Duke. It just didn't fall. Maryland doing a nice defensive job on the defensive board.
Maryland by 3. Neither coach has gone to the bench very much here in the second half. Branch, Bias. Coleman with a big offensive rebound. Nice play for Ben Coleman, and he has a dozen. And the lead is back to 5 at 63-58. Duke was down against Virginia after the Cavaliers made a big comeback, showed a lot of poise, and this is Amaker with a tough shot from the top of the circle.
That's a big shot by the freshman. Duke really needed to score on that possession because Maryland looked like they were ready to walk away.
9 minutes, 10 seconds left to go in the ballgame, and look how Maryland's offense has changed. They've gone to something like a 1-4 setup and just let Adrian Branch bring the ball down from the top of the key. Now Adkins is the man outside, had it taken away. This is Amaker. What body control to catch that pass and slow down and still be able to score. Amaker has 8, we're within 1 again.
He actually caught the ball in between steps, did a nice job to control it and get it up on the board. Johnny Dawkins did a nice job to make that steal. Look at Branch controlling the basketball.
63-62. Lenny Bias with a tough shot.
Tough shot against excellent defensive pressure.
17 points for Len Bias. Establishing himself as one of the premier forwards in this league. Dawkins over a screen. Branch got a hand in his face. Nice rebound by Mahar. And Amaker will set it up again.
Good patience by Mahar not to force that ball up. He got the possession for Duke, and now maybe they can do something with it.
Amaker tries to get it inside. Good defense by Maryland, and ahead to Adkins. Trying to beat 3 players. He'll get the basket. Thought there was going to be a foul called. It looked like the official was going to call Dawkins, but Dawkins seemed to back off at the last minute, and Adkins has 10. There's the story. 7:45 left. It's Maryland by 5. Amaker. Mahar. Offensive foul on Mahar, and that's number 4 on the junior forward from St. Catharines, Ontario.
Herman Beal doing a great job inside for the Maryland Terrapins. You can see the long jump shot. Beal's right there. Mahar had the rebound. Beal was actually out of position on the play. He was behind Jay Billis. Had the ball rebounded out a little bit more softly, Billis could have had it and laid it back in.
Beal has done that so well his entire career, and now Maryland has a 5-point lead and the basketball. Branch. What a touch. The ball just tantalizingly rolls over the rim and drops through. Adrian Branch has 12, and now it's 69-62. Maryland by 7.
Maryland's
7-10 left.
Maryland's really clearing out a big area for Adrian Branch and allowing him to operate one-on-one.
Henderson down the lane, contact, no whistle, and a score. That was a good no call There wasn't that much contact, and Henderson is carrying the Blue Devils with 18 points.
Duke really needs to get some good defensive effort in the next couple of series, make Maryland take some tough shots and get the rebounds.
Adkins, great pass inside to Veal, but he has to come back out with it. Then he turns to the bucket. What a move by Herman Veal.
A couple of big plays in a row, one on defense and now on offense by Herman Veal. Maryland with a 7-point lead.
And Veal has a dozen. Maryland with 5 players in double figures. Allery. Rebound to Veal, and Herman Veal has done quite a job on the board.
Duke hurrying a little bit too much. They've got plenty of time left in the game. I think they need to do what they were doing early in the half, and that is try to be patient and get the ball to their people inside.
Branch, an excellent ball player for a 6'7" player. Then he had it knocked out of his hands, saved it, got it to Adkins, stolen by Duke. A loose ball again, and it's 1st and 10.
The Maryland basketball on the change of possession. Good defensive effort by Amaker, though. Duke cannot afford to let Adrian Branch back in, and finally create either a basket or a good pass inside. Amaker did a nice job coming over to help.
Had a good look at Lefty Drizel, who is going for his 467th win as a major college basketball coach. It would be his 291st at Maryland, approaching that magic 300 mark. 5:58 to go in the game. The Maryland lead is 7.
You saw Amaker try to sneak up in behind to get an offensive foul inside on Ben Coleman, battling against Jay Billis, but as Branch turned his back to Amaker and came across the court, Amaker tried to sneak over for the double team.
And for senior Ben Coleman, that is foul number 4.
Hey, ball control! Ball control!
You may hear Lefty Drizel yelling out at his players, ball control, and we'll find out what that means next time down the court. Maybe Maryland's version of the spread offense with 5:52 left and a 7-point lead. Billis goes to the line. He's 3 out of 4 there so far today, 7 points. And our statistician, John Madry, keeping us right up to date on everything. Nice to work with John again. Free throw by Billis is good.
A couple of big free throws for Billis. He makes the first one. He and Coleman have really battled inside all day long, and Billis has done a nice job.
71-65. Billis trying to cut the lead even further and does. 71-66. Coleman stays in the ballgame. There's only 5:51 left. A lot of players with 3. He is the only one on the court with 4.
Right away, the ball goes to Adrian Branch, and he's going to control it into the front court area.
Loops it low to Coleman. That will be an offensive foul on Ben Coleman as Tommy Amaker ran in behind him, and Coleman says, no way. Watch this play.
Amaker does a nice job coming over in position to help. That's a real tough call. Real tough call.
Now, there's something in the rule book that's very difficult to explain. I'll try to leave it to you. The player that comes in behind that man who goes up in the air has to give him room to come down. Is that not true?
He has to get in. He has to have his position established before the man leaves the air. But the question here is, how much room do you have to give the guy? You have to give a man without the ball a little bit more room than a guy with the ball. And I think that the official ruled when the contact was made, Coleman had possession of the ball, and therefore Amaker could get right next to him. Had Coleman not had the ball, Amaker's got to give him room to take, they say 1 step or 2, never more than 2 steps, but it's got to be enough room for Coleman to change direction. That's a very, very tough call.
It's a great explanation of that. 71-66. That is a very difficult call for the official to make. Duke down by 5. They need a bucket here with 5:25 to go. Billis leans into Mark Fothergill. Offensive foul. Again, a tough call, but Fothergill appeared to do what he had to do to draw it.
Billis is at Fothergill's in good position. Fothergill is entitled to that position. Billis creates the contact, driving through. Fothergill's in principle of verticality, they call it. Very nice-sounding term, but that's what it is. He's entitled to that vertical space, and as soon as Billis broke it, the foul's on Billis.
Of course, I don't know that Mike Krzyzewski would agree with our analysis right now. His club down by 5, and that was a big turnover. Duke going to more pressure on defense. Adkins to Branch. Leans into one, didn't get it.
Maryland's probably going to rely more and more on Branch with Coleman out of the game.
Dawkins with 4:57 left to go in the game and counting. Mahar to Dawkins. This is Billis looking for a shot against Veal. He's fouled before he got off the shot by Herman Veal.
Nice move by Jay Billis. He turned and got himself facing the basket. He gave Herman Veal the fake, and Veal committed himself. And then as Billis went by, Veal stuck his arm out.
That is number 3 on Veal. Duke has not missed a free throw in the second half. The Blue Devils 10 for 10. Maryland has only had 2 free throws. They've made both of them. 9 points for Billis. 5 out of 6 from the free throw line. Now makes it 6 out of 7. Pretty good performance for Billis. You look at his stat sheet and say, how's he doing it? He's only hitting 66%. But in his last 7 games, he's hitting 82. So he's really picked it up.
A lot of that's confidence. Once he makes a couple, he does things he can never miss.
Got them both. 71-68 full court pressure from Duke. The Blue Devils 12 for 12 from the free throw line. Adkins in some trouble, but gets it to Branch. Takes it across the timeline. Amaker almost stole it from him. And Branch almost double dribbled because of that pressure. Amaker just so quick.
You can see Amaker, basically, he's leaving Adkins when Branch has the ball way away from the basket.
Maryland right now under some defensive pressure, and they do not have a very quick team out there. Fothergill low, back to Adkins. Veal with a rebound, and Veal called for the foul. That will be number 4 on Herman Veal.
Lefty Drizel's up. He's asking what was that all about, but Mark Allery had good position against Herman Veal as they went up for the rebound. It appeared to the referee like Veal got an advantage. See Allery and Veal really pushing on one another. Allery with the inside position. Again, another tough call. We've had a couple of calls that could very reasonably have gone either way.
That is number 4 on Veal. Coleman is already fouled out of the ball game, and Allery, who has a dozen, goes back to the free throw line. 13 out of 13 for the Blue Devils, and 3 for 3 for Mark Allery. You shoot free throws like this, you want to take the ball to the hoop. 71-69. Now 71-70 as Allery scores again. This has been a great ball game.
Once again, here's the full court pressure by Duke.
Veal, not a good pass. The foul is going to be on Mahar, and Mahar got hit in the face, I think, with the shoulder.
They may have knocked heads. Adkins is still down.
Adkins got whacked. Take a look at it.
Tough pass by Veal, trying to throw it cross court. He ran right into the elbow of Jeff Adkins. Mahar just a little bit too slow. He's making the right move, but he simply can't get there in time. He caught the elbow of Jeff Adkins in the side of the head. That's 5 fouls on Mahar.
Dan Mahar is gone. He will join Ben Coleman as players who have fouled out of the ballgame. And Henderson comes back in. Henderson, of course, the leading scorer for the Blue Devils so far with 18 points on the day.
Now, interestingly enough, that's a common foul, a non-shooting foul. Duke only has 5 fouls this half, so Maryland is not going to get the opportunity to go to the line for the 1-and-1. Keith Gatlin in the basketball game. He played very well for the Terps in the first half.
Gatlin comes in, so Branch will go to a forward, and Gatlin can really handle the ball. Here's Adkins on a great drive to the basket, and he's fouled. Jeff Adkins, who is not really quick or not really fast, but he has a great change of pace. He'll lull you into a false sense of security and then explode on you.
He made a nice move. Dawkins playing him very softly out on the wing. Goes right by Dawkins. Billis gets the foul. Now, Adkins is not a good free throw shooter, so these are a couple of big ones.
Got the first one, but he is a pressure shooter. And I've always thought Jeff Adkins should be one of those guys who is up 80-85% in the top 5 or 6 in the Atlantic Coast Conference because he has such an excellent touch. Adkins 1 out of 2 today. Make it 2 out of 3. And Maryland has regained a 73-70 lead over the Blue Devils here in Durham. We have 3 minutes, 55 seconds to go in the game. Stay with us.
Keep your eye on the car and the clock. Breathtaking acceleration with handling to match. So don't step on the gas unless you mean it. New Turbo Colt. Imported for Dodge and Plymouth. Built by Mitsubishi. To blast from 0 to 50 in 5.78 seconds and give you pavement-scorching performance. in the lowest price turbo in America. Now that's an import with a purpose.
Know why people call me Twiggy? Nah, it's because I love to go out in the woods and cut firewood and bust them into little bitty pieces. That's why I went down to Rose's and got this unbreakable Oregon maul. To cut the wood, I use Oregon chains. Now 20% off at Rose's. Oregon center bars let me cut so much wood, some of my friends even say I'm showing off. Nah, I say I'm showing off for basketball.
This exclusive ACC coverage is a presentation of Raycom Sports and Jefferson Pilot Teleproductions.
ACC basketball on the Raycom Sports Jefferson Pilot Teleproductions Network has been brought to you today in part by Mazda and by Holly Farms. And what a game we've had. 3:55 left. It has been nip and tuck all the way. Right now, Maryland leading at 73-70. And the Duke student body that began lining up here early this morning to get a chance for a seat at Cameron Indoor Stadium have stayed with their club the whole way.
They've certainly seen a great ball game for their effort. Excellent free throw shooting by both teams in the second half. We've got 18 free throws, and all 18 of them have gone in the basket. Maryland with only 4, so Duke has been able to stay in the basketball game on the strength of their free throw shooting.
The next time Duke commits a foul, Maryland will finally be in the bonus. It will be the 7th team foul called against the Blue Devils. But Maryland did not have much success with the 1-and-1 in the first half. They missed the front ends of 3 straight 1-and-1s. Consequence that really hurt them.
Really did, because that's during the stretch when Duke got back into the ball game. Duke was down by as much as 10 points in the first half.
Maryland in a zone. The shot clock is off as we're inside 4 minutes. Dawkins from outside. He has not had a good outside shooting ball game, but it was touched by Maryland and goes out of bounds.
Tough break for Maryland. Once again, Duke not very patient on offense.
Number 34. And we get Len Bias back into the ball game for Maryland. And we also want to remind you the ball game being brought to you today by Boss Bakeries. Happy to have them with us. That's Dawkins.
Real close to a walk by
Yes,
Johnny
it was.
Dawkins.
I think he got away with one, and he'll shoot from outside again, and it won't go again.
Dawkins cannot get the outside shot to go.
This is Adrian Branch. Gatlin is now out of the ball game for Maryland, and we're back to Branch and Adkins at the guard, and Branch controlling things.
Maryland in their delay game. They've got those 4 guys clustered around the edges of the foul line. Branch is going to handle the ball outside.
He's working on Dawkins where he has a distinct height advantage. And last year, Maryland really showed that it could be good at this kind of delay offense. They did a wonderful job with it. Under 3 minutes and counting. Adkins, baseline, got the roll. That was a tough shot to make, Dan.
Tough shot by Jeff Adkins. Maryland now stays in the 2-3 zone. Here's Henderson.
He misses, but the rebound goes to Allery. Back out to Amaker, who's been good from there, and is again.
Maryland's packed back inside. It appears as if almost they're telling Duke, if you're going to beat us, you're going to do it from the outside. And so far, Amaker's the only one who's been able to hit that jumper out there.
Amaker now has 10 points, and both teams have 5 players in double figures. Branch with a tough shot. That's one I think Lefty Drizel would like to have back. He forced it up after he got to the baseline. And Duke, down by 3, has a chance to cut it to 1 with 2:06 left in the ball game. Henderson. Duke has missed about 5 straight outside shots with the exception of Amaker's bucket.
That was a good shot by Henderson. Well within his range on balance.
This is Fothergill back to help out on the press and dribbles around Billis, and Billis commits an obvious personal foul. That is the 7th team foul. And Mark Fothergill will go to the free throw line, and they fouled the wrong guy there. He is an 87% free throw shooter who has made no attempts, has made both. None. I'll get it right in a minute.
Oh, he's made all that he's tried, or he's missed all that he's tried. Hasn't made any.
He's perfect either way. Nice-looking young man from Somerset, Kentucky, hits the first free throw. Started 23 games, 30 last year. He's not a flashy ball player, but solid. A lot like Herman Beal. hits 2 pressure free throws, and it's Maryland by 5 right now. 77-72 with 1:46 to go on a turning clock.
Duke needs to get a good shot this time, preferably on the inside.
Amaker to Dawkins, outside again, and Johnny Dawkins can't hit it. Tip follow won't go. Amaker with the big rebound.
Real close to basket interference by Mark Allard.
Henderson, short. Fothergill kept it alive and knocked it outside. Adkins coming down. Smart play, pulls up. Maryland needs to keep the clock running more than it needs points. 1:17 to go. The foul is on Amaker, who reaches in against Fothergill. That'll be 4 on Amaker. And Fothergill, who rarely misses, goes back to the free throw line.
Maryland going back into the zone defense appears to have totally taken Duke out of their offensive game. Duke has come down. They have not been patient. It seems like they shoot the ball almost immediately. There's plenty of time left in the basketball game, but Duke is frittering that time away by taking some tough shots against the zone.
Fothergill, 4 points, 2 out of 2 from the line. Neither one of these teams still has not missed a free throw in the second half. 5 points for Mark Fothergill. 3 from the free throw line. And it's 78-72. Maryland by 6. Finally, a miss in the second half. We'll see how important it might be with 1:13 left. Maryland by 6. Amaker tries to get it inside, and Adkins picks it off. Credit Fothergill with tipping the pass.
Well, that's where Duke needs to go, but they need to be on balance and get a good shot in there.
Adkins turns around, says, I want a time. Lefty Drizel, with 1 minute left in the ball game, wants to talk with his ball club and set the final strategy for the last 60 ticks of the clock. We'll be back with a final minute after this.
This Bud's for everyone who keeps things rolling on the mighty Mississippi.
Breakaway barge, please respond.
Let's get him.
This is the Navy building. We're right below here and we're on our way out.
I'll come around on the port side and bumper there.
Yeah, just for you. That distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
For all you do, this Bud's for you.
Now, Dinah, a lot of ACC fans will be watching this, so just act natural.
Just act now. Okay, I can do that.
Okay, and just cook some Holly Farms chicken.
I did. It's plump, it's juicy, it's delicious, it's right out of my cookbook. You're going to love it. You want to taste?
Oh, a little later maybe, but we got to do the end line first. America's
line.
Cooking with Holly Farms.
Oh, America is cooking with Holly Farms.
And winning with Holly Farms. Just enter the Holly Farms ACC Tournament Sweepstakes where you buy Holly Farms chicken.
1 minute left in the game. It's Maryland 78, Duke 72. And our Holly Farms players of the game are from Duke, David Henderson, 6'5" sophomore, who was in with 18 points and really keyed his club's comeback. Had a brilliant first half, especially coming off the bench. And for Maryland, it's Lenny Bias who overcame a slow start and is Maryland's leading scorer this afternoon with 17. Holly Farms will contribute $1,000 to the Atlantic Coast Conference to be distributed to the institutions under a conference-approved plan in the names of those 2 players. And at the end of the season, each player will receive a plaque from Holly Farms recognizing this honor. 45 seconds left. Gatlin into the ball game to Fothergill. Back to Gatlin. Duke has to foul, but Maryland doing a great job of moving the ball so they can't commit a personal. Herman Veal. This is Gatlin. 31 seconds left, and he is fouled by Tommy Amaker, and that will be number 5 on Tommy Amaker. The freshman point guard is fouled out of the ball game. Great job of moving the ball.
Great job of moving the ball. Maryland in a different kind of stall that time. The old 4 corners, they put everybody in the corners of the court and they let Adrian Branch operate in the middle. I think Duke wanted to foul before that, but since the rule change, you've got to try to get the guy with the ball and make it look unintentional. Maryland moved the ball much too well. Duke couldn't catch up to it.
And you've really got to congratulate the NCAA Rules Committee for rescinding that rule where inside 4 minutes any foul was a 2-shot foul. It created a lot of problems, and it took a lot of courage for them to make the change in midstream, but it was something that needed to be done for the good of college basketball.
That's really true, Mike. It really does take a lot of it. There was a lot of pressure on them, I'm sure, to keep it that way, so it looked like that the organization was very stable.
Right.
But what they did was they said, hey, wait a minute, we're fouling things up here. Good move to make the change.
Gatlin with a free throw, hits the first, he'll get another. A lot of times we always complain about whatever ruling authority is controlling our sport, about all the things that they do, but you got to get them credit when they do what has got to be the right thing for the game. 7 points for Gatlin. This guy is going to be around a long time and is going to be a great player before he's done. 79-72, Maryland by 7. 23 seconds left. Nice move by Allery. Used his body to get position in the lane and scored. 79-74. Adkins drops it off, tried to get it to Branch. The ball goes to Henderson. We're down at 10, but Maryland's still up by 5, and Henderson will go into the lane, and Fothergill did not make a good play. He was standing perfectly still, and then he moved at the last minute.
That's not the play that Fothergill wanted to make. He should have just let Henderson go by. Had he shot the ball, gone through the basket, we're at 7 seconds now. Maryland probably doesn't even have to take it out of bounds again unless Duke calls a timeout. Maybe a little bit of the inexperience of the Duke Blue Devils showed in the last stages of this basketball game. They're very good players, but they're young, and they just haven't been in that many big basketball games, and that's what this was today.
This is Henderson, who has led Duke today with 18 points, been voted our Holly Farms player of the game for the Blue Devils. Hits that one, and Duke, with Mike Krzyzewski, has called a timeout, trying to map strategy. His team is down by 4 at 79-75, and we only have 7 seconds left in the ballgame. Stranger things have happened. Don't go away.
In insurance, there are two kinds of people. One just buys a life insurance policy. The other gets a complete financial plan from a Pilot Life agent. As they mature, so do their investments. But one man's money grows more, thanks to the Pilot Life agent's knowledge of business insurance, universal life, IRAs, and mutual funds, which just proves there are two kinds of people, the haves and the have-mores. Pilot Life. We never forget that behind every policy is a person.
Now Washington's better.
Way better.
Nashville's better.
Far better.
Los Angeles is better.
Really better.
Now Holiday Inn is a better place to be.
Almost every 7 days, a brand new Holiday Inn hotel opens in the locations you want the most. Better hotels in the best locations. That's why we're number one.
We're number one, worldwide host. First with what you want the most.
Call 800-HOLIDAY.
Holiday Inn is a better place to be.
We'd like to take this opportunity to thank Operations Manager here at Cameron Indoor Stadium, Tom DeArmond, Duke's Sports Information Director, Tom Mickle, Johnny Moore and their staff, Maryland Sports Information Director, Jack Zane, and Joe Blair and their staff for all their help in getting us ready for today's ball game. 4 seconds left, loose ball, and the foul will be called against Duke.
1 second ticked off the clock. Duke very nearly got the steal. McNeely will get the foul. Fouled Adrian Branch.
And I'm sure Lefty Grizzell was holding his breath there because the ball was loose until the whistle blew.
The series the series from about 1 minute to 30 seconds where Maryland did such a great job moving the basketball in the delay game has really created a situation where Duke is really in trouble. They only have 6 seconds left. Had they been able to get a steal or the foul right away, we would have had much more time.
Well, they burned off about 25 seconds that one possession. Duke, try as they may to commit a foul, just couldn't get to the guy who had the basketball. And Adrian Branch now has 13 points. That was his first free throw. 1 out of 3 on the day. And it's 80-75 with 6 seconds left. 81-75.
Good move by Maryland. Try to put some pressure.
Long pass down court to Henderson. Leans into one. It won't go. Tipped out of bounds with 2 seconds left. And Lefty Driesell has racked up career win number 467. And his club will go to 11-2. And Fothergill just wraps his hands around the ball and pulls it down. Our final score, Maryland 81, Duke 75. For Dan Bonner, this is Mike Patrick. Thanks for being with us. This has been a presentation of Raycom Sports and Jefferson Pilot.
You're looking live at Cameron Indoor Stadium on the Duke campus in Durham. For tonight, a sellout crowd is on hand to watch two good basketball teams try to take a positive step as the Duke Blue Devils and the North Carolina State Wolfpack hook up in ACC basketball. The Wolfpack, led by junior forward Lorenzo Charles, #1 in the ACC in scoring at the moment. He gets great help from the outside from Spud Webb, who just turned in a super game against Wake Forest. Watch here as Webb picks up one of his 13 assists in that game with a nifty move to get Lorenzo Charles the easy 2 inside. He can do that to you, but if you back off and leave him alone, watch what happens. Jumper from the deep corner, Webb has picked up 29 points in his last 2 games. Mark Allery, the sophomore forward, leading Duke, averaging nearly 18 points and 7 rebounds a contest. And this year, he has moved from center to forward. Is he comfortable? Obviously. Watch him here. Face the basket, square up and shoot. 2 more points for Mark Allery. Johnny Dawkins turning in another tremendous year in the ACC, #2 in scoring in the conference right now. The 6'3" sophomore guard from Washington, D.C., a superb athlete. Watch him jump, return for 2. Johnny Dawkins averaging 20 points and 4 rebounds a contest for Duke. The Wolfpack, coached by Jim Valvano. Duke by Mike Krzyzewski. Tonight in the ACC, it's the Pack against the Devils. ACC basketball is a presentation of Raycom Sports and Jefferson Pilot Teleproductions.
This is ACC basketball with Clemson, Duke, Georgia Tech, Maryland, North Carolina, North Carolina State, Virginia, and Wake Forest. This live coverage is brought to you by Budweiser, by the Jefferson Pilot Corporation, by Piedmont Airlines, by Food Lion, by Subaru, by Belk and Leggett Stores, and by NCNB.
Welcome once again to Cameron Indoor Stadium. As you can see, they are fired up here tonight to watch their Duke Blue Devils take on the Wolfpack from North Carolina State. Hello, everybody. I'm Fred White. Our analyst tonight, Billy Packer. And Billy, you have to wonder what we're going to see tonight from triple overtime in Atlanta Monday night to the blowout in Chapel Hill last night. Leaves you wondering.
Well, Fred, I'm a little shell-shocked from last night. Riding home, I never did really understand what happened, but I think tonight we're going to see a different situation in regard to the competitiveness, not only of the talent of the 2 teams, but the fact that this game is extremely important because people don't want to be down near the tail end.
Well, I'm about to say something, and people are going to say, oh, you say that every ball game. But again, an important ball game here tonight for each team, and I know we say it every game, but folks, it really is true. This one's big for both these teams.
Well, it really is, Fred. Nobody wants to be down at the bottom. All the teams in the ACC legitimately, based on out-of-conference play, feel that they can deserve an NCAA berth if they can get up in that upper division of the ACC. That certainly holds true for both State and Duke. They've had some impressive wins outside the league.
It took Jimmy Valvano a while, but he got a win for this State team. Now you have to wonder if they'll get on a roll. And Duke is a ball club that had a great preseason, but only the 1 win in conference play.
They've played extremely well, though, in conference play, and it'll be interesting to see how the guard matchups go tonight. State going with the 3 guards. Duke probably has as fine a backcourt pair at that young age as anybody in the country.
2 good basketball teams trying for their 2nd conference win here tonight. Again, we have the Duke Blue Devils and the Wolfpack of North Carolina State at Duke. And we'll be back to me starting lineups right after this message from Budweiser.
This Bud's to everyone who tackles the changes and challenges of that new promotion.
This Bud's for you. There's no one else who does it quite the way you do. So this is you. For all you do.
Yep, just for you. That distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
For all you do. For you.
Sometimes flying those bargain airlines can be expensive.
That'll be $3 a bag.
Like when your luggage has to pay its own way, or when you have to go outside to get inside the plane, or when even coffee costs extra.
That'll be 50 cents, please.
But when you fly Piedmont, you won't get soaked by the airfare or the rain. No unexpected costs, no surprises.
Please.
Piedmont Airlines, where a bargain is a bargain.
Hi, Mr. Johnson. Little one-on-one? Nah, I can't, Jimmy. Your father wants to talk about a pension plan for his company.
What's the matter? You over the hill?
What sets the Jefferson Standard agent apart from other insurance agents is not just that he sells a wide range of innovative business insurance, or that he's specially trained to give comprehensive insurance advice. It's that little extra he gives to his clients. Jefferson Standard. We give a little extra.
Did you come here to talk insurance or play basketball?
Both.
Carolina cities, Carolina towns, banks in every neighborhood, banks all around. So if we want to be your only bank, we better be a whole lot better than good. In CNB, we want to be the best bank in the neighborhood.
Now let's meet the starting lineups for tonight's game. First for the Wolfpack of North Carolina State. Coach Jim Valvano tonight will go with a 3-guard lineup, moving Ernie Myers up front. The 6'5 sophomore will start at 1 forward alongside Lorenzo Charles, the 6'7 junior from Brooklyn, New York. In the middle, Cozell McQueen, the 6'11 junior from Bennettsville, South Carolina at center. And at the guards, Terry Gannon, a 6'1 junior from Joliet, Illinois. The other guard, 5'7 junior Spud Webb, the JUCO transfer from Dallas, Texas. Now, the starting lineup for the Blue Devils of Duke. Here's how Mike Krzyzewski will send them out tonight. At 1 forward, Mark Allery, the 6'8 sophomore from Scottsdale, Arizona.